Welcome the students of class 8. Welcome to our social science history class. And today in this class we are going to discuss about the chapter 9 subunit caste and social reform. It is in page number 114 of your old NCERT book in chapter number 9. And those have new NCERT book, they can open chapter number 8 for this subunit. So in previous classes I have already discussed about the social reformers, that how did the social reformers try to reform the society, the various bad practices such as sati, and also the girls education also introduced and widow remarriage also introduced. Now today we are going to discuss about the caste and social reform. What was the bad practices of the caste system was there, and how did the reformers they also try to abolish the bad practices, such as Raja Ram Mohan Rai. Raja Ram Mohan Rai, you know, he also the person who was responsible for the abolition of sati, and he also wrote letters to the Lord William Bentinck and the Governor General of India at that time, and finally sati was abolished. Ram Mohan Rai also translated an old Buddhist text that was critical of the caste system, and at the time also some other organizations established in India against those who work against the caste system, such as the Prarthana Samaj. The Prarthana Samaj followed the tradition of bhakti that believed in spiritual equality in all caste and established by Atmaram Pandurang. You have already read about the belief of spiritual equality in the Bhakti movement in class 7. So now another organization in Bombay, it is Paramhans Mandali. Remember that Paramhans Mandali in Bombay was founded in 1840, and it was worked for the abolition of caste system. Except this, many of these reformers belong to the upper castes and would violate caste taboos related to food and touch in their secret meetings. What happened? Sometimes they organized a supper, and the food of the supper was cooked by some untouchable people. So in this way, they try to get rid of the hold of caste prejudices in their lives. So there was also some other persons who questioned the injustices of the caste and social orders. So during the course of 19th century, many Christian missionaries, they also set up schools for the untouchable people and tribal people. Though some of them we have previously read that they try to forcefully conversion and all these things, but after that, when after Sepoy Mutiny, so these things were stopped, and now many of the people they got the opportunity to read the modern sciences and the Western literatures, and some of them also equipped with some resources to make their way into a changing world. And at the same time, the poor began leaving their villages and looked for the jobs and were opening up in the cities. You have already read that some cities already established by the Britishers and other colonizers, and in those cities, those people found some job opportunity. Some of them worked in the factories, and some of them were coming up and they took jobs in municipalities. And when these cities started expanding, the demand of jobs also increased. That drains had to be dug, roads laid, buildings constructed, and cities cleaned. So this required a huge number of people, such as the coolies, the diggers, the carriers, the bricklayers, palanquin bearers, and rickshaw pullers. Because rickshaw and palanquins, these are the main means of transport at that time. So a lot of people also joined in this sector. Many of the people, they also migrated to the plantations in Assam. Mauritius is an African country, Trinidad is a Caribbean country, and Indonesia in Southeast Asia. So those people also worked in those new places. So you may have seen that the president and prime ministers of the Mauritius, their name was, and today also their name is Indian. So it was believed that, and it was proven that their ancestors were Indian, those who migrated to the new places for work. Most of them are from the lower castes, and so that's why the Indian food habits, Indian dressing sense also followed by those countries, and they also, lot of Indian origin people lived in these countries. And in Trinidad also, you may have seen the West Indies cricketers, their names are Indians. So actually in this similar way, their great grandfathers may have been migrated to these countries, and they now, generation after generation, they living in these countries and become the citizen of that country, and now they are playing for these countries. And in Indonesia also, a lot of South Indian people also lived in Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore, in these countries, and different colonies also established. So why did those people migrated to the new locations? That work in new locations was often very hard, but the poor people from the low caste saw it as an opportunity to get away from the oppressive hold of the upper caste landowners, because most of them previously worked in the agricultural field as a landless labor, or they have very small patch of land and they had to pay a huge amount of taxes, huge amount of taxes to the rich landowners. So it is very hard for them. So that's why they migrated. And a lot of songs also composed at the time when they migrated they planned to migrate into the plantations in Assam, that some of the Bengali folks are there, such as the Chol Mini Assam Jamu. So this kind of songs also composed at the time when these people thought that if we migrated to the Assam and these plantations and worked in a new environment, so our misery would be finished. So in this way they exercised, they also tried to get rid of their old life and their daily humiliation what they suffered. Okay students, so there are other jobs also. Some lower caste people, they also joined in army, and Mahar community is an untouchable community, and this Mahar community also joined army, and they joined in the Mahar regiment in Indian army. Today's Indian army, at that time the British Indian army. And the father of B.R. Ambedkar, and B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee of our Indian constitution, and the father of B.R. Ambedkar also studied in an army school. And there is an interesting thing also mentioned in page number 115. Those have old NCT book, look at the picture present in 150 at the bottom of the page, along with some information that leather workers have been traditionally held in contempt since they work with dead animals which are seen as dirty and polluting. So during the First World War, what happened when there was a huge demand for shoes and in the armies? So what happened? The caste prejudice against leather work meant that only the traditional leather workers and shoemakers were ready to supply army shoes, because the other people, they were not allowed to work in the shoe factory, or they not involved. Okay, so they could ask for high prices and gain impressive profits. So Madigas were an important untouchable caste of present day Andhra Pradesh. They were experts at cleaning hides, tanning them for use, and sewing sandals. So at the time of First World War, they also received huge orders for making shoes for the army. Okay students, so this is the story and of caste and social reform. And next class we will discuss about some other reformers who also worked for the untouchables and lower caste people and fought for their rights. Okay, so that's all from our today's class. I hope you have understood all the different points. So thank you for watching. See you in the next class.